Okay, I'm here in front of the school that all the characters of the Midnight Society would have attended. And if we flip the camera around here, right around here is where Graham would have got off the bus, and he was listening to music on his headphones, and he was so into music that football just missed him. But how you know it is actually one of the telltale signs is this black pillar right here. You can see that in a lot of the shots, as well as these windows, walls, and the doorway. The opposite angle would have been about here where I'm standing, and this is where the school bus would have got off. It's where the school bus would have dropped him off, sorry. This is where Graham came off, listened to his headphones, and he was so distracted the football nearly missed his head. And over on this side here is the school bus would have rounded this corner here. You can even see these poles in the background. And if you remember when Rachel's mom dropped her off, it was a very rainy day, and it wasn't too clear, but she actually had to put her backpack over her head and walk, and that would have been right around here. And I think you can actually see a bit of the yellow in the pavement and the sidewalk here, and she would have been walking with the backpack over her head here. And there's the main entrance. Here's another view as well. Here's another really good location. Remember when the boy went missing? Here's where you would see actually his poster hanging on one of these black pillars. You can even see that Rachel was very concerned. She was helping out with the organization of these posters, and you can see this little ledge here. You can see all these security features over the windows, but it would have been on this angle here. That in the background you see the trees and the nature there and the road. Alright, I don't know if you remember this scene or not, but this is where Rachel would have actually rounded down the steps out of this doorway right here. She would have came down these stairs onto her bike, which was locked up right over here. Lots of action in this three-part series, and we're always up to something. So this is where Rachel would have ran down the stairs. You can definitely tell because of the yellow railing, as well as the frame on both sides of the stairs, and of course we got a bike rack right here. So behind me is a scene they would have used. Rachel's mom was driving her to school, and in the background you can actually see this red and yellow building. Historically, this was actually used something to do with one of the wars, and behind me, if we take a closer look at it, this would have been an overhead shot, most likely shot on a drone or something like that, but these are the flags up here. There's a building now which is now a restaurant, and you can see some of these buildings here with the trees and this bridge. And if you watch any of my other videos, or videos soon to come, you'll know that I talk about show Riverdale a lot, and Riverdale actually used this almost identical shot of this bridge and these towers, as well as a few other shows and movies, but pretty cool scene. In this scene here, Rachel and Gavin would have been walking together to school or from school, and you can see that they're passing by this metal black fence here, and you actually see this white building in the background. Look at it from a different angle, perhaps a better angle. You can actually see that, let's go maybe about right No, right about here. You can see that they're between these poles right here and that bench right there, and then we're walking right by it. You can actually kind of see the crosswalk sign way in the distance there too. And in the background, there's that white building I was talking about. This is almost a perfect angle of where Rachel's mom would have been driving her, because you can see between these two branches right here, there's actually this sign here. You can see that in the background. You can see the fence, and their car would have been driving right along this road. When the Midnight Society were shooting their short film, you can actually see that they used this gas station, and in the background, this is when that werewolf-looking creature would have been approaching them. How do you know? Because you can actually see that sign in the background again. Here, notice the yellow and red signage would have been sitting there directing the film. Here's another angle where you can actually see this sign right behind Akiko and her brother. Scene, actually, interestingly enough, has changed quite a bit since the year or so that it was filmed. I'll show you why. You can see that there was a fence here. This is where the gang would have been talking. There was a fence here, and this was where a park. But what gives this away is actually in the background. You can see this sign here of the ice cream cone right there. It's a little bit torn down. Okay, now we're going to be checking out a scene where, if you remember in the movie, this would be, I believe, the third episode of the three-part series. Rachel is actually riding her bike around this corner here. Looks like a very ordinary corner. However, what you might notice is there's this sign here. I'll wait for the cars to go by. There's a sign here that you can see right in front of this tree. And you can actually see the backs of these signs as well as she's riding in the corner. These signs right here. Now, in the movie, coincidentally or not, there is a train that does pass by here in the background. Now, it is really a train track, so it might have been just very well timed, but this is where she would have been round in the corner. To run away from or run to somebody, no doubt. Alright, decided to leave one of the most interesting places to last, and that is going to be Rachel's house. Alright, so this is her house here. You can actually see there's the window right up top where she would have snuck in and snuck out. Yep, that's the window right there where she would have snuck in, snuck out of on the Midnight Society, and practically it's the same. You got the lawn chairs on the left hand side, you got the garage on the right, and yeah, looks pretty much it did in the show. Well, that concludes today's video of the filming locations for Are You Afraid of the Dark, made last year, 2019. Growing up, Are You Afraid of the Dark, one of my favorite shows, to be honest, it still is. I love the original series. It started in the early 90s, went through the 90s. They did a small reboot of it in the late 90s, and they did this one just last year. This one kind of took its own spin and went its own way, which is fine. I have nothing to say bad about this series. And from what I hear, possibly there might be more. I'm hoping there is more. I'd like to really get some filming locations of the first one done as well. Now, that being said, today's film locations were a little tricky, only because the main part, for those who've seen it, the main focus was on the carnival scenes. Now, a lot of those, I'm thinking they were done either in the studio or in an unmarked private field somewhere, because I tried looking it up quite extensively and I could not get a good match for what field they used. So I hope you enjoyed the filming locations I could find, and there's lots more to come.